Here is the most toxic emote from each year in Clash Royale. Clash Royale was never meant to be associated with toxicity, as the game was aiming to have the same positive and casual player base as Clash of Clans. But over the years, Clash Royale has increasingly gotten more negative, and a huge part of that is due to the emotes added to the game. So grab your popcorn and see the journey of how Clash Royale went from one of the most loving games to players having mental breakdowns. Starting all the way back in 2016, when the game's gameplay looked like this, emotes weren't a big priority back then. The only emotes you could find then were the 4 original King emotes. I could be wrong, but I did a lot of research and couldn't find any other releases in 2016. These 4 King emotes are all so iconic, and people who don't even play the game know them. But the most toxic emote with no question in my mind is the Laughing King emote. I mean, come on, anytime you lose and the opponent uses this emote, you want to break your screen. This animation is recognized in the Clash Royale community as the father of toxic emotes, as this was the first one, and it did its job very well of making players rage quit the game. But moving on to 2017, with the addition of new arenas, including Jungle and Elector Valley. There were also new cards added, but the most notable ones are the Mega Knight and Heal Spell. This year was also dry for emotes, as emotes were commonly overlooked by the developer, but there were the releases of new Goblin and Princess emotes. This year also marked the release of one of the rarest emotes to come to the game, the Royal Ghost with the Gem emote. But the most toxic emote this year was the Yawing Princess emote. It is still used to this day, but it's not as popular as it was in the older days, but it's still a great emote to spam after outplaying mid-ladder menaces. Now going into 2018, the game has just released Clan Wars, but also emotes started finally coming out into the shop for players to buy. This year was big for emotes, and especially for toxic emotes, as some of the most classic toxic emotes came out this year. Supercell did add more emotes, but only for basic characters like the Skeleton, Princess, Giant, Hog Rider, Electro Wizard, and Goblin. However, all of these characters got a full set of emotes with all the basic expressions like crying, laughing, mad, and thumbs up. But in effect, some of the most toxic emotes were born like, for example, the Electro Wizard laughing, the Hog Rider screaming, Wizard doing the dap, and the Barbarian laughing. Though one emote stood out the most in my opinion for the most annoying and rage-intensifying, the Skeleton crying emote. I mean, in itself, it's not that bad, but when you hear that sound effect, it's brutal to the ears. To be fair, I do spam this one after winning against no-skill players, but when someone uses it on you, it's a complete different story. I swear you just want to break a door or something, but I don't know, that could just be me. Moving on to 2019, when the first ever Pass Royale was just released, which also brought us exclusive emotes. But even though this year Supercell started making more emotes than ever before, there weren't many toxic emotes released this year, except one which in my opinion is on the Mount Rushmore for emotes. The Heyday Chicken emote. This is probably one of the most used emotes in the game, most commonly used after beating someone with a toxic deck like Elixir Golem, Mega Knight, and with something like E-Giant 2. Making our way to 2020 when Touchdown Draft was released, this year released one of the best limited toxic emotes to ever come to the game. But some backstory to this emote is it was a Pass Royale emote, so it was locked behind a paywall unfortunately, so it's super rare. Comment if you have this emote, as I've been playing the game for 9 years, but only came across it like once because how limited it is. The emote I'm talking about is the Happy Prince emote. The sound effects on these emotes are just great, and what makes this emote unique is that it's like a one-time use emote per game. Because the first time you use the emote, it's just deadly to the opponent's heart. It's not like the Laughing King emote, which is meant to be spammed. The Prince emote is a one-hit wonder. 2021 was the year of champions, as champions were first introduced to the game this year, including the Golden Knight, Skeleton King, and the Archer Queen. But the most aggravating emote added to the game this year is a bit of a hot take from me. I think the hog smashing through the wall takes the win this year, as it's a reference to Home Alone and the perfect emote to use after making an unexpected comeback. Heading into 2022, and this is where things really start taking off for toxic emotes. But before I get ahead of myself, this was the year when Path of Legends was added to the game to be a more competitive option than Trophy Road. Now going to the most toxic emote this year, and could be argued to be the most toxic emote to ever come to the game, the piggy dancing. This is the epitome for toxicity in the recent years of Clash Royale, like how the Laughing King emote was the face of toxicity when the game was first released. But this emote, man, is just something. All I see after losing any match is this piggy throwing it back. Like, bro, I'm not trying to see all that, but I'm sure you guys can relate to that because I feel like this emote has really taken over. along with another emote released in 2025. In 2023, or when evolutions were added to the game, the emote I chose for this year is still kind of controversial, but every time I see this emote, bro, it makes me laugh or rage quit the game. The emote I'm talking about is the barbarian flexing his chest. The sound effect on this emote makes it so much better, like I can't stop myself from laughing sometimes. I don't see this emote everywhere due to it being limited, but if you have it, you are so lucky. I wish I had it. You can use it in any scenario, like to be toxic, make players laugh, or even to show you're not interested. I mean, how do they put three emotions in one emote? I also wanted to shout out another emote, but for a complete different reason. The most wholesome emote was released this year, in my opinion, the Magic Archer drawing a heart emote. I just wanted to shout out this emote because I want to spread more positivity to this game that sort of feels negative every time you lose because of the opponent spamming emotes.
Heading into the big 2024 when the Goblin Trophy Road system was released, the most toxic emote this year was the Goblin Crying emote. I mean, this animation is just something else. It may be the most toxic emote ever released to the game, but regardless, it's a great emote to use after winning against a goblin giant Sparky player. This expression is kind of rare, as it wasn't free. You had to pay $7 for it, meaning it was behind a paywall. Also, I'm not sure if it is in the daily emote shop rotation, meaning it could be a while until we see it in the shop again.